Well, I've started the wing. I'm not going to bore you with watching me cut all these ribs out because there's a half a gazillion of them to make. But I do want to explain to you how to make them. This is Bob Hunt's Lost Bones system, and it's best to buy his video on how to, the detailed video on how to build this wing. That's how I learned how to do it. There's not really much to it, but what I'm doing tonight is I'm cutting the ribs, and how you do that is you first trace the ribs out on the material. This is how I do it. And basically like this. There might be a faster way to do it, I don't know, but we're not in any big rush. This wing will only take 2 days to make. You trace it out. It has, Bob marks the spar lines for you, and what I've been doing is I mark it on the wood and then take a straight edge and connect those lines. So that line will be on the rib, and that's where we're going to cut the spar notches. And this wing uses 3/16 spars. Then I take and I cut the rib out. I'm only going to show you one rib, and then I'll cut the camera and cut the rest, because this is what takes the longest to do, is to make the ribs. And it's really not all that bad. If I sit down and do it, I can do them all in one evening, and then we'll put the wing together tomorrow. I also want to show you the straight pour molding technique for the leading edges. Now, when I first built these wings, I was told to use 77 thousandths, and since then I've just been using 62 thousandths or 16th, and it suffices. So we've cut a blank out. And the next thing you want to do is you want to pin this to the rib pattern. And I pin it in 4 spots. And once these ribs are made, the wing may take a half an hour to build. That's it. This thing falls together like, well, you'll see when I do this. Like I said, the longest thing to make is to actually cut the ribs out. So now, for a perfect rib, we take the sandpaper and sand down to the foam. These ribs fit so perfect, there's no pinning or anything when you put it in the fixture. They just snap right in. I sure like foolproof methods, and this is definitely one of them. I remember the days of having to pin-prick through a set of plans. We used to get them from Carson's or Flying Models, and take a straight pin and prick through the plan set onto the wood to get the pattern of the rib, and then sand them or cut them out and hand sand them in by hand. It took forever and they weren't perfect. But with a light touch and a little bit of patience, that yields a perfect rib. And that's it. So now I'm going to cut the camera and cut the other gazillion ribs out. I have 2 done. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. I have 56 more to go. So, there's no sense in watching this. It's all the same process. Cut the blank, pin it onto the foam, sand it out. So, when I get the 56 ribs done, cut, and notched, I'll come back and show you the rest of the process. We're going to glue on a stiffener between the spars. I'll show you how that's done, and then lay out the cradle, and it just snaps together. And the hard part is making the parts. 56 ribs. So it might as well be an I-beam. Anyway, we'll see you when I get that done. It's probably going to take me the rest of the evening. So, see you in a short. Well, it's day 2, and I'm still cutting ribs. I got the ribs cut for the inboard wing. They're over there. I'm working, it's early in the morning, I'm working on the outboard side. I have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 more pieces to cut. This is just the part that I absolutely dread. I hate cutting these ribs. It just takes so long. Once I get these ribs cut, this whole wing will go together in 2 hours tops. But it takes me the good part of 2 days to cut them, because I'll cut on them a while and then watch TV, and then cut a few more and watch TV. But it's coming along. I thought I'd check in for a quick report and tell you where my progress was. I'm not going to make any predictions on how long this will take, because I'm just not real enthused about sitting down and grinding this out. I've been in this project now since Brodax, when I got back on a Sunday, so it's been 1 week and 3 days, so 10 days. And I figure in 2 weeks I'll have it all framed up on the outside, and then it's the arduous task of finishing. So I will go back to cutting. I cut a few ribs, watch some TV, check the computer, cut a few more, so on and so forth. So when I get them all cut, I'll come back. But I wanted to make a report on this, and we'll see you in a few. Well, I had to work on cutting the ribs for a couple of days. I finally got them all cut out. We're going to go ahead and mock this wing up. I'll show you how quick it goes together. Now, some of the guys build them in one piece. I build them in 2 separate halves and join them in the center. I don't see that it makes any difference, as long as you're doing it on a nice flat table. I still yet have to cut the holes for lightning in the ribs. There's a lot of work in making all these ribs. But just to show you how quick it goes together, I'm going to mock it up real quick here for you and show you how that works. First thing you want to do is you want to space up the spar. In this case I'm using 16th, so we're going to get some 16th inch shims under the spar so that it's level with the trailing edge. I also put wax paper over the foam cradle so that any CA that happens to fall on it doesn't eat the foam up. So we'll block up the spar. Do it about every 4 inches, I suppose. I had to cut the 330 or 3/16 square spar. I cut that out of light stock. I just kind of want to show you how easy this lost foam goes together, and it is super accurate. Anything that the foam cradle is an exact copy of what we have going on here. Now we're going to pin this. It doesn't require any pins to put it together, but I do want to pin the trailing edge and the spar down so they can't move. So we'll go ahead and stick some pins in it. There's a lot of parts to cut. Just take your time. The actual cutting of the parts is what took the time. To actually building the wing, as you'll see, only takes a few minutes. Pin it right over the locations that Bob lays out for you. And like I said, I'm going to just mock it up. I will then go back and I have to get some tubing so that I can cut the lightning holes in the ribs. If you email Bob Hunt, I'm pretty sure he'll send you a PDF on building his lost foam wing. I do have the tape. It's well worth watching. Straight form molding and the lost foam system. Okay, we got the pieces pinned into place. And now we're just going to set the ribs out on the spar. Keeping them all oriented with the numbers up. We're going to make a square or triangle 90-degree apparatus to make sure these are in perfectly straight. We'll come back when we glue them and make sure they're in straight. This is just a trial fit. Like right here, I see that I didn't cut that knot quite deep enough. Oh, it's glue that globule down there. Kind of cracked the rib there on the one side. It's not a big deal. So I'll go ahead and mock this up. I'm going to cut the camera as I'm hollowing out the ribs. I was talking to Bob the other day, you really don't even have to cut them out because all you're going to gain is a few grams of, or lose a few grams of weight, 1 or 2 passes of the paint gun, plus on the outboard side you're going to be adding tip weight anyway. The gear, landing gear mounts are notched into the ribs, RH5, RH6, and then full ribs 6, and then a plywood backer is put on each one, and that is what will hold the landing gear block. For the guys who made this is rather mundane, but for some of you who have never done the lost foam building system, see, here's another one that we needed to trim. Oh. Man, I just don't want to clear out there. Might have to get a little piece of sandpaper or a file or something to eliminate that little nib there, because it don't want to cut loose. There we go. I always test fit everything. To make sure things fit perfect. I don't want it to be warped, so I test fit everything. That looks good. And that is basically how the wing goes together. There's not much work involved in actually putting the wing together at all. The work is in cutting all the pieces, which took me 2 days. Not because it's that difficult, it's because I didn't work on it. And then of course you got an 1/8 inch center rib, and this is what the two, you're going to glue those two pieces together, and it gets cut out once the wing is together. Then the top spar drops down on it, and the half ribs are put in, and we're going to mold up the sheeting. I got my wood in from Tom today. Mold up the sheeting and put the shear webs in it. We're about 1 day's work out now from getting this done. You know, it can be done faster. I'm just not rushing it because there's no big rush on getting this project done. But it's still just now 2 weeks, or excuse me, from Brodax till today, yeah, it's 2 weeks old. So no big deal. So within 30 days we'll have an airplane. We should be finishing the thing. Any questions you can ask me on the forum. Please be sure to favorite my channel, subscribe, Once again, I'd like to plug Sean Emery Shug's beginner videos. They're really great. Hopefully you get some information from him. Hopefully these building videos are helping you. If they're not, please tell me. If they are, please tell me. I need to know what I need to show, and you guys are, you know, what you're interested in. Because I'm more than happy to show you how I do things. It's not a mystery. It's not difficult. It's only desire. If you have the desire to do it, you certainly can do it. So I'll cut the video. I might go ahead and post this up and start another segment of this. I got some nice 3/4 blocks in for the bottom of the fuselage. We're going to have to glue on, carve, and cut around. And I'm going to do the cowling with that too. And I'd kind of like to show my little pilot figure. Let me pull his head off here. This is my pilot. This particular paint job, or the way to paint him, is also a video that Bob Hunt offers. It's I think the gentleman's name is Don Typod, and he shows you in depth how to paint a pilot to look relatively realistic. And this particular 1/6 pilot has a two-piece bust and head, so you can glue the head in any position you want. But following Al Rabe's lead, the other pilots that are smaller, you just saw the head off and glue it back in the position that you want, and they look more realistic instead of looking straight forward. I also got in today another smaller pilot that I was thinking of putting on there, and that's the female bust. But I don't know, it's kind of cartoony. I think I'll stick with my original pilot that I had put in there, because the Minado was not a cartoony airplane. It was a beauty. So I'm going to post this up. Any questions, just ask me on the forum. I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. So until I'm back, keep your lines tight. Well, welcome back to Stunt Hangar. I know I was going to post a video last night, but I thought I'd just go ahead and finish up a little bit more work, and then I'll post it tonight. So what I'm showing you here is 11 days work. And in 11 days I have all the major components built. I still have to mold the leading edge sheeting. I should have done that first, but I kind of wanted to get started on this wing. So I have the wing all assembled, roughed out. I have the elevator stabilizer all roughed out, and that just needs a little finish sanding. I have the pilot painted and the fuselage roughed out. Now I got some 3/4 inch balsa from Tom the other day for the bottom block, and I just thought I'd show you this pilot. I went ahead and painted him a little bit better. Oh, his head fell off. I haven't glued his head on yet because I haven't figured out what position I want him in. Turn him around here. But there's the pilot, and let's see if we can give you a little bit better look at it. He looks pretty good, and when I get him the head glued on and probably in an outward looking position like that, he'll look fairly realistic in the canopy. I'm going to dye the canopy a light red. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to set the camera down. I'm going to upload the video. I want to give you a little shot of the cockpit detail too. Now that I'm moving this around, let's see if we can look in there. His head's in the way. Take his head off. But there's the dashboard of the cockpit. That looks relatively realistic because it is a real realistic cockpit. And how I did that was I got I googled a cockpit, airplane cockpit, and I printed it out and then sprayed 3M77 on some balsa wood and put the color printout on the balsa wood and cut the wood out. Haven't glued that in yet because I'm going to go ahead and finish this cockpit on the outside red first so that I can roll the red down to the inside before I paint the black floor and the back. And I also have to make a pottage chair or seat for them, and I'll probably do that out of the manila folder like Al Rabe does for weight. I don't know where we stand on weight here. It really doesn't much matter. I like them light, and I'm going to try to keep it as light as possible. But I'm probably looking at a 60-ounce airplane. We got to keep it under 64 ounces so we can fly it on the small lines. But as long as we're under 64 ounces, we'll be fine. Because this is a tribute to Tom. It's going to have some paint on it, so obviously I have to build the airframe lighter than normal. But I'm going to keep you posted as we go. Like I say, today's 11 days in. All the major components are made. The only thing that's left to cut is flats and wingtips. And I'm not going to do that until I get the wing done and probably installed so I can use the TLAR method to see how much flap that I actually need. That's basically it. It's not a big deal to build these airplanes, and I haven't really spent as much time on it as I normally would, and that's why it's taken me 11 days instead of a week. I've been kind of a miss taking care of some other stuff, but we're having fun. It will be a cool airplane. It will be, I'll probably be able to finish it before the September contest at Booter, and then of course Alan's contest. I think I would like to fly it down there for the Kentucky contest, Alan Brickhouse's contest. Just kind of, we're going to do a remembrance airplane for Alan too. I don't know what it'll be, probably a legacy. But this is where I'm at in 11 days. So I'll get this edited up and get it posted on the web, and we'll see you in a day or so when I get some more progress done. So until then, tight lines.